Hey, okay, let's get into it. First off, the National Conference of Undergraduate Researchers tomorrow. And what sucks is that I was going to print my poster today. I was meant to do it on Friday, didn't get it done on Friday. Changed the schedule. Did more editing to the poster. I think it's overall turned out pretty nice. I don't want to say really nice, but I think in terms of my expertise level, I'm just not there yet. I'm sure that after I present, I'm going to see a lot of changes I can make. Even like right off the bat, I can imagine it's a bit too clustered. I think it's a flaw of my research paper. Fundamentally, I think it needs to be more zoned in. My research paper, to be honest, is more a synthesis of other research papers rather than experiments. I also think that's an effect of why it feels kind of disjunct. But it's interesting. It is interesting. I think I'm excited to present. Something I always do think, something I do now, as I think I'm a LinkedIn warrior, or whatever the word is that when I get nervous or when I don't want to do an event, I just think about how good the LinkedIn post is going to be. I know that can be toxic, but I think it's a nice motivator. So it's really cool. But back to the point. The National Conference of Undergraduate Research is tomorrow, and I was going to print my poster today because I couldn't print it on Friday. And I went to go print it today, and it turns out a bunch of people are doing the same thing. I'm disappointed in a bunch of other researchers. Cause I feel like if you're a grown adult who's in research, and you're printing your poster the day before, that's just, I feel like that's just irresponsible to say the least. In my part, I have an excuse. I don't think it applies there, but I think it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be exciting. What I want to do is I want to try and get some presentation in. Because it's going to be a 50-minute presentation. I'm hoping a good chunk of that is really just questions and answering. I think I can give a general overview and I can answer a bunch of questions. I think what I really like about even that idea is that when I was transitioning from the old research poster to this new one, a lot of the work I was doing I felt was a bit, I don't want to say useless, but a lot of it wasn't translating to the new poster, right? There was actually, in terms of content, there was actually a few changes I made. But what was really impactful was that I was going deeper into my research. I came to have a better understanding of the topics included. I like the topics I addressed. I also came to see other areas I want to kind of touch on as I present. For instance, I think I already touched on this, but like just the digital divide in general. I feel like that's something I really didn't consider, especially when it comes to AI and education. I now feel that's inseparable part to the conversation, because imagine, like, consider the current digital divide, right, and then add AI into the equation, and just like it's really interesting. I think it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. I thought what's it? Honestly, like a theory of thought. I don't know if that makes sense. A line of reasoning is that as AI becomes more advanced, so will the internet and internet access and all of that, high-speed internet. But I think even in the current state of AI right now, if you're a student with AI and you're a student without AI, and you just don't have good internet, the student with AI and good internet has such better opportunities. Like even just using AI myself, you can see that like without that tool, you're much more restricted. You can definitely use traditional methods like books, I guess even the internet, but I don't know if you don't have the internet, you're already in a bad position. So it's really interesting. It's really interesting. What I do think is really nice is that I feel like most open source AI or free AIs, I think are good enough for most people, especially students. There's as AI becomes more advanced, a lot of the use cases don't really change for people. I think unless like it's and I guess with ChatGPT for image generation, like the better it becomes, the more you can use it for. But like, there's not an entirely new use case. It's just that the use case has improved, I believe. So I feel like for a lot of the free ones, even though they're restricted to a certain amount of use a day, all the free ones, I think you're good enough with. So if you can at least get a proper device and have some good internet, you should be on your way. And another thing, I think this is something that also should be accounted for. I know I'm staying away from the whole National Conference of Undergraduate Research, but I do think there's an aspect that even with today's current technology, you could take the kids in the richest school in the best environment, or not the best environment, but in the richest school with the most opportunities, and you could see that probably 90% of them aren't. Dang. think that was I don't think you heard that, but that was like a real loud noise. But you could take 90% of them. I doubt a lot of them. I doubt that 90% is using the tools at their disposal to their full potential. So in fact, that's where a lot of people, like if you're someone on the materially poor side of I guess technology, and you have the drive, and there's a lot of factors that impact that drive, and just even accounting for the drive, there's a lot of factors that impact like your outcome. But if you do have that drive, you do have a good shot, I think, and just matching that outcome overall. But I think it's going to be something to watch on in the coming years, especially as AI becomes more integrated into schools. You're going to see, I believe, you're going to see a dramatically. Ooh, is that a good prediction? I think I'm going to bet on it. Let's bet on it. I think you're going to see a dramatically different. You're going to see a dramatic difference in outcome between schools who have AI properly implemented and schools that don't. And I think that properly implemented is doing a lot of carrying for this whole conversation. But I do think if it is properly implemented, then students will be in just such a better place. Because uploading a textbook to, let's say, a ChatGPT 4.0, just explaining topics there changes your whole game from doing homework. Because before you would have to go to a textbook, and if you don't understand the textbook, you have to go to YouTube videos. And if you don't understand YouTube videos, but now you can play around with it more. And even accounting for hallucinations, a lot of this stuff, I believe a lot of students, at least in K to 12, I think it's pretty rudimentary or pretty basic, right? I don't know, I shouldn't be coughing at this stage. But yeah, I think it's pretty rudimentary, pretty basic. So I don't think even hallucinations should occur there unless it's pushed to an extent. That's what I've noticed, at least, like with a lot of stuff, a lot of equations that are pretty simple. I don't think AI hallucinates in my uses of it. But yeah, I think it's just something to look out for. I think I went too deep into the digital divide, but I do think it's inseparable from the conversation. But I am excited to meet people. I also have a prediction that not many people are going to stop by my booth. I don't know. I think it's going to be a big conference. So we'll see. But I don't think, if I plan for that, I guess I'm going to be planning for failure in that case. So I still plan for 100 plus people, maybe 1,000. Dang. Is there anything else I want to add? I'm excited. I can't wait to go through this experience. I hope I can do it again next year. I do really love research. We're in Tech for Good. We're actually working on a research series, and it's really exciting because I think it's going to get a lot more people investing in research. And we're talking to Rick Gupta, really amazing dude. And a gist we got from the conversation is like the idea of science and the idea of research and get people interested in that. But I think sometimes what's really interesting is the idea. Let me see how much time I have left. Is science kind of dead to people? Like, do people even like remember the scientific method and stuff like that? I think that's something that's really interesting. Do people even think in that way? Especially like, I think this is a conversation that comes really apparent in when it comes to stuff like vibe coding or more just using AI to code for you. Like the science aspect of computer science, how much of it's actually done by many people in the field. So I think I want to keep my eyes and ears open for discussions on stuff like that. I do think it's interesting. I do think I want to try making research more accessible even from a younger age. I think it's something that your research doesn't have to be impactful. It doesn't have to affect 1,000 people. I think I'm doing this thing where it's like 2 words by Kanye West, where it's like I'm just saying the same thing twice in different ways. I guess that's not the idea of the song, but I digress. Your research doesn't have to be impactful, it doesn't have to impact 1,000 people. I think it just has to be something where you have to challenge yourself to learn more. And as long as you learn more through your research, then I think you've done a good job. Now, yeah, as you grow older and go farther into the path, I think that goal changes a bit, but I think fundamentally the idea is just to learn and help other people learn. But yeah, besides, I have nothing else to say, so have a great day.